Well, welcome back. This is G-Man, My World 67. And I finally completed that 1829 engine. If you remember, it had a broken corner here. And I replaced that broken corner with this one here. I cut that out of an old 490 shell. And they were made just a little bit different. The rivet pattern was a little different. There's the shell that I cut it out of. And but I lined it up. I tried to get a little close up of it. Tried to line it up so that we could have the rivets in the same place. The only rivets that did not quite match up was this one here. It's in line with that one, but it's in line with this one, but it's not in line with those. And also because of the pattern and the shape of the roof on the 490, this had the solid bar across the top, and this has two separate bars. And so I couldn't get it the exact length, and there was a little space in between them. And once I put it on, so I filled it in with a piece of plastic struts. Get a little better picture there. Yeah, used a piece of plastic struts right there. Let me get a little better pointer than my finger. Okay. If you remember, the engine didn't run very well when we first took it out of the box and started to run it. I cleaned the motor up. I went through it, cleaned, excuse me, all the axles, the bearings, cleaned the armature, checked out the springs for the brushes, cleaned the brushes, oiled it up real good. I even tried to clean the reverse unit some, because the reverse unit was pretty sticky. It was actually pretty dirty. And I got it cleaned up quite a bit, and it's working a whole lot better now. Once you start running it, it works okay, without hesitation. I was going to clean these screws up, but I decided I might do that at a later date, or I might go ahead and blacken them or paint them black. Don't know yet. It had a broken cowling on the front. All this was all broken out. Again, I took the cowling off of the 490. I don't know if you can see that or not. And cut it off and replaced it. In the process of taking it off and removing it, I cracked it. I broke it. So I had to glue it back together and put it back on in two pieces. So I'm going to fill this in a little more and then sand it down. And I'm going to paint it anyway, so it won't show, or shouldn't show hardly in at all once it's done. Once I put the cowling on, because of the different type of cowling that this is, it did not completely match up. And so I ground down the underside of the plate here a little bit and matched it up, glued it in place, and then I had a little strip right here in between the two. And again, I used a piece of plastic struts, styrene plastic, and you can get the strips. And I put that strip in there, perfect fit, and it looks pretty good. Actually looks just about like it was made in there, kind of inlaid. I reinforced it and glued everything in place. Also, these have this metal plate right here, this heavy metal weight, and this metal weight was broken loose, and so I had to go in and secure it, and then fixed it so that it was actually attached to the cowling. Now I glued all of this in, and then I went back and re-strengthened it with a little bit of hot glue so that it would make sure that it would be solid and stay in place. One thing that I couldn't accomplish was this area right here. I thought about taking a heat gun and heating that up. I've had good results with that before, pushing that back out. But then I decided maybe I didn't really want to go through all of that. Sometime later, if I decide to keep this actually in this shell, then I might change it out. But actually it gives it a little personality, and I kind of like that in there. There's a little truism there on those old boilers. Also, clean the contact. And that thing, if you remember, it was really dirty. You see right here, still there's some build up that did not come off. And at this point, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not hurting anything. The contactor itself is really clean, with the exception of that. Cleaned the front truck, the wheels on it, and got them oiled. They were real stiff, dirty, gritty, and now they turn real easily. And they turn on the shaft as well as sometimes the shaft does turn with them. And it was missing this whole back end. There's a plate that goes in here and secures the engine, and it comes in from the bottom side up. And all this is this little plastic piece that's about 1.5 inches wide, and that's what the plate, the metal plate, sits on. And then there's a motor brace, or a motor bracket that goes down in here, and I've got the truck in now so you can't see it, but there's a motor bracket that goes down in here, and it's the same one that's in the 333. I tried one out of the 1666, but it was too wide, so I wasn't able to use it. So I had to make one. Once again, I went to the 490, I pulled the rear plate, which was the mounting plate, and also has a coupler on it attached to it. Pulled that out and cut about 1 inch, 1.25 inches off the end of it. Took that down on the inside of here, used it to lock in the motor, and took the rest of the plate and used it to put the bottom back in the engine, and it allowed me, once in there, it allowed me to have a perfect coupler mounting. It just went perfectly right in the right place. I didn't have to do anything. Now this is not glued in. This is not, I'm sorry, screwed in. I was going to drill the holes in it and put it in properly. But I decided, well, I might, like I say, someday not want this motor, because I was thinking about using this in a 994. I just wanted to get it up and running. Once I saw that, hey, this thing could be salvaged, I get excited about salvaging engines. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to put it together. And so everything on this is glued together. And I glued in the plate, glued in the motor mount, and I reshaped the plate. I reconformed it so that it bent down like this. And once it's setting in place, it actually pushes down on the motor mount and helps to hold that in place. The plate is glued in place, and then I took, again, crazy glue. Not crazy glue, I'm sorry. I took hot glue and went in and I sealed it up. There was a little gap. And I don't have good light. I apologize for that this evening. But I don't know whether you can see it or not. But right in there. Okay. I hot glued that area. That's the metal plate that locks the motor in place. This is the bottom and coupler plate. And I tie them back together right here. Pushes up on that. Locks that in place. It's glued. It's hot glued to seal it. And then I came, and this plate is glued to this plastic bottom. And then I sealed it all up with hot glue. Really solid. Really solid. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back now that it's completed, and I'm going to paint all of this black. Once it's painted, you won't even notice it. I'm going to paint this little piece that I had to put in here too. And I might try the magic marker on it first. It won't work on this. These are going to, wherever it's hot glued, will have to be painted, because of the translucency of the hot glue. Okay, and then it needed a rear truck. Now, I had 4 of these standard wheels on, and I didn't like the way the truck fit. And I thought, wow, what's wrong with that? So I had 2 of these smaller wheels, and they're not totally clean, as you can see. They were cleaned at one time, but then they got wet again and they rusted back up a little bit. That should just basically wipe off. It's just surface rust. And I had 2 of these 3/16 wheels. And so I put those 2 3/16 wheels on the front and left these on the back. Now I'm probably going to change and put 3/16 wheels on the rear also. But for now, yeah, it makes it pretty cool. It's a pretty neat deal. Also, I used a screw to center this rear truck, and it's actually screwed in to the coupler mounting. It works out great. I've been thinking for a long time that I could do that, and I watched Trains in the Basement, and I was watching Gary, and he was showing that he had used one of those trucks off of a freight car or a caboose, and I thought, well, okay, Gary's already done it, so if he can do it, if he did it, then I shouldn't have any problems. And I was going to go ahead and put the shaft on it so that it could attach it to the motor. And I looked at it and I decided, well, this will give me more swivelability. And it works good. And so I'm going to leave it like that. I might find a little bit different process. The screw is okay. But I might find a little bit different process. I'm thinking more of a nut and bolt kind of thing, but the hole is so small, it's going to be hard to find, I think, a bolt that small to go through there. And I don't want to re-drill it. But there you are. It's put back together out of all original Marx parts. Everything was replaced from a original Marx engine. I was going to use something off of the 1666, and of course the roof wouldn't work, although it's split with two sides, but because of the rivet pattern, it was the wrong rivet pattern. This needed to be smooth up in here, so I couldn't use the roof part. And I couldn't use, like I said, the engine lock that went right there. That supports the engine and holds it in place because it was too wide. And I didn't understand that because this body's pretty wide. It was actually wider than right there, right across here, than this one is. And there was really nothing else on this that I could use. So the 1829 does not have a horn, so I couldn't use the horn, and it's got all the smokestacks and everything else. It was almost perfect. Now, is the engine perfect? No, it's not. But it does run quietly, it does run good, and I like it. And I don't think anybody else, once I touched it up, would ever have a problem owning this engine. I'm not planning on selling it, by the way, but it's always good to make something that somebody else wouldn't mind having. We take junk and fix it up so that it's not junk anymore, not so that it remains to be junk. And I think it's always good to fix something else up that's good enough for somebody else to own. Let's run it. Okay, we've got the test track set up, and I'm going to turn this light out for a moment. Every once in a while, till after it warms up, there it goes. It still sticks, but once I start running it on the layout, it'll be just fine. Nice bright light. Now it does not have a lens in it, and oops, I may put one in it. make one for it. But that's it. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave comments down below. And if you have any questions or comments, you can contact me at gman1924@hotmail.com. All right, that's it for now. As always, happy rails to you. Bye-bye.